Apple plans to nearly double the workforce in its fast-growing digital advertising business less than 18 months after it introduced sweeping privacy changes that hobbled its bigger rivals in the lucrative industry. The iPhone maker has about 250 people on its ad platforms team, according to LinkedIn. According to Apple's careers website, it is looking to fill another 216 such roles, almost quadruple the 56 it was hiring in late 2020. Apple disputed the figures but declined to elaborate. The digital ads industry has been on edge about Apple's advertising ambitions since it launched privacy rules last year that disrupted the $400 billion digital ads market, making it difficult to tailor ads to Apple's 1 billion-plus iPhone users. Since the policy was introduced, Facebook parent Meta, Snap, and Twitter have lost billions of dollars in revenue and far more in market valuation, although there have been additional contributing factors. It was really almost like a global panic, said Jade Ehrenstein, global service lead at Incubeta, a South Africa-based marketing performance company, of the impact of Apple's changes. Meanwhile, Apple's once fledgling ads business is now incredibly fast-growing, according to a job ad. The business has gone from just a few $100 million of revenue in the late 2010s to about $5 billion this year, according to research group Evercore ISI, which expects Apple to have a $30 billion ads business within 4 years. Compared with Google and Facebook, whose 2021 advertising revenues were $209 billion and $115 billion, respectively, Apple's ads business is tiny. But the digital ad industry's fear is that it could expand quickly, in part by setting rules that critics and rivals say give it an unfair advantage. Before we get into the news, I would like to welcome you to my channel. On this channel we look at the latest news surrounding Apple stocks. I would like to announce a giveaway I will be hosting. I will be giving away a $50 Amazon gift card, and all you have to do is subscribe and like the video, and make sure you watch till the end of the video. Now let's get into the news. Building new ad systems to effectively compete with incumbents with tens of thousands of employees and 10 to 20 years of maturity would normally be an impossible task, said Alex Austin, chief executive of AdTech Group branch. Unless, he added, you were somehow able to disadvantage those competitors on your platform. Apple has long been the major big tech outlier for not engaging in surveillance capitalism, the practice of giving customers free services but then profiting off their data by targeting ads at them. We could make a ton of money if we monetized our customers, if our customers were our product, Chief Executive Tim Cook said in 2018. We've elected not to do that. But with Apple twice expanding where developers can buy ads in the App Store in the past 2 years and making plans to expand much further, critics see Cook undertaking a notable U-turn. David Steinberg, chief executive of Zeta Global, a marketing technology company, said Apple was being Machiavellian and brilliant by adopting privacy rules that forced rivals to rebuild their ad infrastructure, simultaneously creating an opening for itself to fill the void. They could build out their advertising business dramatically, and the air cover is they are protecting the consumer's privacy, he said. Apple declined to comment on its long-term ambitions. But job ads tell prospective employees that its goals are nothing less than redefining advertising for a privacy-centric world. The 216 jobs Apple seeks to fill include product designers and managers, data engineers and sales specialists. An ad for an engineering leader, posted on August 24, refers to Apple's most confidential and strategic plans and describes how it wants to build the most privacy-forward, technologically sophisticated supply, marketplace, platform and demand-side platform. These are the main components of an AdTech business in which advertisers could buy and sell ads on multiple exchanges, potentially placing ads in mobile apps downloaded from the App Store. Apple could plausibly consider mobile apps first-party data because all the activity is happening on the iPhone, aligning with its own privacy rules that prohibit the unconsented tracking of users across third-party apps. The roles are mostly in the US, but include at least 27 positions in Europe, 12 in China, 12 in India, 4 in Japan and 2 in Singapore. That's a giant team, that's bigger than most small companies, said Ehrenstein. Wherever there is smoke there is fire, and that's definitely some smoke. Apple has never been against advertising per se. Company founder Steve Jobs even tried to launch an in-app ads business in 2010, so iPhone apps could stay free. What Cook is against is how personal information is bought and sold by opaque third parties without iPhone users giving consent. Still, Apple setting the rules for how ads should work and then expanding into that very area strikes many observers as problematic. Right now it is safer, in terms of the surveillance economy, to use an Apple phone versus a Google phone, because Google has architected its products to serve surveillance, whereas Apple is not, at its core, an advertising company, said Claire Atkin, co-founder of Check My Ads, a watchdog. But if Apple suddenly delves into that realm, they won't have that competitive advantage. Apple may be putting its reputation at risk if consumers and regulators balk at its privacy argument, a major component of recent iPhone campaigns. If its argument wins out, Apple would have an open runway. Margot Conras, chief marketing officer at Sky, an omnichannel ad platform, said it makes absolute logical sense for Apple to build its own ad network, following in the footsteps of Google, Facebook, and Amazon. The power in AdTech, she added, had for years been flowing from the decentralized open web to walled gardens maintained by single companies that can manage how ads are bought, served, measured, and reported. The world has been unnerved by Apple's ambitions for a long time, she added. There are a handful of players that obviously have disproportionate amounts of power, and Apple is the sleeping giant. Is there more fuel left in Apple's growth engine? Because the company has already delivered market-beating returns for years and is near the top of the exclusive group of trillion-dollar companies, some investors are wondering if it's time to cash in. Others still see signs that Apple isn't done growing just yet. The Silicon Valley giant produced more evidence of its still solid prospects when it released its latest quarterly update late last month. And it were clues that there are at least 3 reasons to think Apple isn't done growing yet, and there is still time to get in on outsized returns. Let's take a look at those reasons. Fears of a coming, or already present, recession are not unfounded, and inflation is eroding wage gains and savings. In a macroeconomic environment such as this, consumers tend to hold off spending on things they may want but don't need. That could easily describe many of Apple's products. A new smartphone is nice, as is a sleek pair of Bluetooth headphones. In reality, no one needs brand new versions of those things that often sell for well above average prices. This would suggest Apple is going to have a rough go of it. And while these challenging headwinds have certainly impacted its earnings, the tech giant is managing surprisingly well. In its latest quarterly update, the third quarter of its fiscal year 2022, ending on June 25, Apple's net sales were up by about 2% year-over-year to $83 billion. This modest top-line growth amid the issues Apple is battling is commendable. Apple's earnings per share did decrease to $1.20, down from the $1.30 reported during the year-ago period. Rising costs and expenses, partly due to inflation, may have played a role here. Still, overall, Apple's results were pretty solid. The company owed much of this success to its signature device, the iPhone. Apple's iPhone has been its major source of revenue for over a decade now. It arguably no longer generates the buzz it once did. The tech industry used to stop everything and listen every time Apple would announce a new version of its prized device. But demand for the iPhone remains strong. During Apple's third quarter, revenue from this segment rose 2.8% to $40.7 billion. According to CEO Tim Cook, looking at the data on iPhone for the June quarter, there's not obvious evidence in there that there's a macroeconomic headwind. I'm not saying that there's not one. I'm saying that the data doesn't show it, where we can clearly see that in the wearables, home, and accessories area. Selling more iPhones isn't just a matter of generating revenue for Apple. It also helps the company grow its installed base, provided a customer not previously part of Apple's network purchases a new device. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and like the video, as it will help out the channel a lot. Make sure you do not forget to turn on notifications by pressing the bell icon so you do not miss the latest news surrounding Apple stock.